Excuse me, Mr. DJ.
Hey, check this out. We got a great show coming your way.
From the ECSI Sports Studios, the #1 sports information program in America, The Breakfast Bankroll, with your host, the sports broker, Jeff Dawson.
Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to Thursday's edition of the Closing Bell, December 8th, 2022. Busy week here at the ECSI Desk Studios. Hot stove. I don't want to say didn't disappoint, because the contracts that were getting thrown around, it's amazing where year to year everything changes. And so it used to be, the 30, 31-year-olds would try to get that last contract. When you were 33, you were fighting for a 3, 4, 5-year deal to get that last contract. Then the change is, hey, we're going to sign the 20, 21-year-olds to a 10-year contract, shorter money, but it gets them set up for the rest of their lives. And then they'll go back at it when they're 30 for the second contract. The market would wait. The big dogs would wait, and people would be stuck in February as they're getting ready for spring training with 100 people left in the free agent pool. And no one knows how and when to spend their money, number one. Number two, a veteran that thought he was going to get $15-20 million a year signs a 2-year deal for $12-13 million a year. I've talked at length, and I said it on my tweet yesterday. I hate when I'm right. And during the year, I was hearing the Cardinals were hot and heavy. The Sox didn't make a move at the All-Star break. The Cardinals were sitting there waiting. They wanted Xander. And the Sox were willing to say, maybe we got to run in us to sneak into the playoffs. When they signed Trevor Story, they had made their decision. It was done. Now there was PR, there was window shopping, there was dog and pony shows. Hey, we're in negotiations. They would only have signed Xander for a 6-year deal. For that 160, they would have paid him more than Trevor Story. You weren't going no damn $280 million in 11 years. So they actually come out of this looking like, hey, guys, we don't sign anyone for 7-8-year deals, never mind 11 years. And Xander goes to the Padres. I had been talking here all along. I thought once Trey Turner went to the Phillies, which I said that's where he was heading. My friend Craig will attest to this in San Diego. I says, buckle up, he's coming your way. And sure enough. And the Red Sox and Red Sox Nation, there will be no Carlos Correa. There will be no Dansby Swanson. Maybe we can call Rick Burleson. Maybe he'll come back. Rico Petrocelli. I don't know what you want me to say at this point. They're moving Trevor Story to shortstop. They'll go find a cheap second baseman. Kiki Hernandez is still available. Still, I think, on roster for the Sox. You can move him to second if you want. Their two signings yesterday, Kenley Jansen and the Japanese outfielder, that was our two big moves. And if you look at the two contracts, they probably saved $100 million, $125 million. Then comes Southside Riley. I don't know if they got the call to say that the hot stove is now over. The GMs have left the building. And now it's Christmas season. There's still time to get your Christmas presents to fill your stockings, but I'll let him talk about that. Let's bring him in, the one and only Mr. Riley Magnuson. Afternoon, Riley.
Afternoon, my friend. Happy Thursday afternoon. Plenty of wild action going on in sports today, but I'm excited about plenty of things, and the White Sox and their moves are not one of the things I'm excited about right now. So I'm still standing at the altar. You saw the picture I sent you. Rick Hahn shopping in the $5 bin at Walmart is essentially what we're doomed for here. So. I assume we'll make some moves here and there that aren't going to be groundbreaking, but at least hopefully we'll make a little bit of baseball sense for us here. But you know what? I'm still standing, staring at my phone, waiting for something to happen, and it's obviously not happening. Obviously, I wasn't expecting Aaron Judge or Xander Bogaerts or anything like that, but. Maybe something to talk about and have a little bit of optimism in our lineup to peruse. But hopefully we'll see over the next handful of weeks and whoever knows how much time and see if we've got anything to add to our team. But so far, I'm standing at the altar still, my friend.
Shout out and afternoon to Mr. PB in the house. I got egg on my face last year. The Red Sox backfilled their rotation with the likes of Michael Walker and Rich Hill. And what they both did is what you need in a starting rotation is you need guys that can go out and eat up innings. And you need guys that are going to get you to that fifth, sixth inning, because so many times guys go 2 1/3, 3 1/3, and it just ruins your bullpen for a series and probably the next 3, 4, 5 days. And Walker had an amazing year. Rich Hill, when healthy, got outs, got innings, got wins. And there's a lot of those guys up there. Shout out to TJ. Good afternoon there. TJ as well. Just the length of these contracts is just mind-boggling. And the story I heard about Aaron Judge was basically 10 for $400 from the Padres and the Giants. That was basically coming on the table. And Hal picks up the phone, calls up Mr. Judge and says, "Do you want to be a Yankee?" And he said, "Yes, I do." "What's it going to take?" He goes, "I need 9 years at." And they got it done. For the Red Sox and Xander Bogaerts, listen, Xander drew a line in the sand, says, once spring training starts, that's it. We're not negotiating. He came back to the table in May and says, "I want to stay here. I want to get this done." And Red Sox, no. And Xander played all year hurt. He kept trying. Numbers weren't great. What he does on the field, never mind in the clubhouse, is priceless. And the Padres, where someone said it best, local, Adam Jones said it best, local. The Padres now have become the Red Sox, and the Red Sox are now the Padres. The Padres are just cutting checks. And don't forget, they got Mr. Soto. They got Manny Machado, who can walk next year. They have now Xander Bogaerts. They have Tatis. So now it's, Tatis is going to get shopped. He's going to get traded. Well, first of all, he can't play for the first 30 games. That's number one. They're not going to be able to give him away unless they want to trade him for 10, 15, 20 cents on the dollar. Right. No one's going to run to that. Once you cheat once, you're going to cheat again. Mm-hmm. And you got that stigma. So it's just crazy what happened. The rich get richer, and the bigger marketplaces, they're not afraid to cut checks.
Aside from my White Sox, Jeff, which is absolutely maddening because we are one of the 3 biggest cities, one of the biggest markets in the country, and we are basically have always acted like one of these small market teams, like the Padres, and it's absolutely maddening to see the Padres in a similar time frame of window building up, where both these teams you kind of saw like they're putting something together, and we were told as White Sox fans that they're going to be aggressive and go all in to this, whether it's a few years or decade, whatever, and that obviously hasn't happened. And the Padres are going beyond what you would have expected. But yeah, I mean, these long contracts where the end of these contracts, the guys are going to be in their 40s. I mean, there's a few examples of that not working out. Definitely not in the later halves. So going to be interesting to see how it progresses. But if that's what it takes to get them in the door the first handful of years, then that's what it takes, I guess. But I've been seeing it a lot. You know what? It's my own. Owner of 2 of the franchises that I love, but the White Sox, don't get enough credit or bad credit for being one of the worst franchises in sports as far as success-wise. I mean, the amount of playoff series they've won in over 120 years, I can count on my hands and toes right now for you. So, and really, you take away the 2005, which really wasn't, it's not like we went all in that season. It's it might be my favorite sports team season of my entire lifetime across all these sports, but they were projected to be the third or fourth place team that season. So I'm not trying to say they were lucky, but you know what I'm saying. If you take away that season, the White Sox would probably be considered. They'd have now a 100-year drought, 105-year drought if it wasn't for that. So they would be considered one of the worst franchises in all of sports. And so something needs to be done about that, which is driving me nuts. The Brian Zor family owns the Bulls and White Sox, and obviously the Bulls had the Jordan years and have a lot more competent years than the White Sox do. It's not the same situation, but I don't see anything changing. But as long as that family is in charge, we're not going to be as aggressive as these other big market teams, and it's absolutely infuriating. So I'm stuck with it. I'm hoping the core of guys that we got can obviously elevate and play better than they did last year. But yeah, that's what we're stuck with. We get pictures of Dylan Cease and his cat in his living room is the tweets that the White Sox are putting out this week. So that's where I'm at right now.
Well, the way I look at it too is this. Listen, the Padres always looking up to the Dodgers. Okay, the Giants were
even, yeah.
Yes, and the Giants were in play for Judge. So the Padres have had enough. They've been knocking on the doorstep for the last couple of years. They're going to have an infield of Manny, Bogarts, Kim at second, and Cronenworth at first. Tatis, when he comes back, will be somewhere in the outfield. They'll have a good pitching staff, okay? The Dodgers, as Mr. Lucky will tell you, they're losing pieces by the minute, so they got some big holes to fill. Congrats to our other friend in the Cubs, Corey Bellinger, for a year. Hey, listen, for $17.5 million, that's a hell of a swing because the upside is through the roof on what you can get on him. Then I look at the American League East here, guys. And the fact is the Yankees bring Judge back. They got some holes, okay? You still got the Blue Jays who are young. They just need arms, okay? Yep. You got the Rays, okay, who is funny. Zach Eflin used the Red Sox 3 for 40. We said we're in, and then he takes it back to the Rays, and he stays with the Rays. And the Orioles, if everyone forgets how damn pesky that damn Oriole team was last year, okay, they're going to bring the fire guy, Rodriguez, I think his last name. He's going to be an ace. They got one of the best catchers in the game with Roshman. They got a core of young guys that are starting to taste it. Are the Orioles going to win the division? No, they're not. Okay, yep. But you're not going 17-2 against the Orioles like you used to be able to pencil in every year.
Right, 100%. I mean, everyone's obviously upset with them of getting rid of Mancini when they're finally in this dream season, whatnot. But they realize what they have in front of them as far as this. We did not expect to be in this position. We expect to be, up and coming team this upcoming year and contenders beyond that. So to add pieces to that team would have jeopardized their future, obviously. So I'm 100% with you. And yeah, the Rays are always. I don't care, as long as the people in power are in power, they're always going to find a way to be pesky and make more of what it looks like on paper. And obviously they've got some young studs as well. So, it's going to be interesting. Then you've obviously got the AL West kind of, some big spenders there that haven't really been able to piece things together. Obviously, we talked about the Rangers the other day when you and I were talking now with DeGrom, and obviously everyone's looking up at the Astros, so you got to do something there. But I don't know. Any of those teams, do you like what the Rangers are doing, or do you think that's just going to be a little bit of a flashy, a couple of moves? Obviously they brought in some guys last year too, but do you think that's actually going to come to fruition and be a contender this upcoming year, the Rangers?
Well, they spent the money on Seager and some others last year, and then they bring in DeGrom. They're not afraid to spend money. See, you can't start the year 10-25 and expect to be the Nationals or the Phillies and get that dream run. You need to start the year on the plus side or close to the plus side and then start filling in the pieces. So they're trying, okay? They are trying, what are they going to get from DeGrom? Is he going to be healthy? I mean, what the Mets did was a lateral move. All right, we'll lose DeGrom and we're just going to bring in Verlander. Okay, nothing wrong with Cy Verlander, but you and I both said by the time he got to October last year, he was out of gas.
Yeah.
He was out of gas. So maybe wasn't working enough. But once he gets to New York, and it will be. So a Verlander Max is a hell of a start there. But my point is that you got to put yourself in contention. Now, the sexy play is Seattle. Seattle's the sexy play. They got all the youth. They got the firearm. I love their rotation. You're not going to get true value on him. I'm looking at Tyreek Hill receiving yards over 96.5 minus 115 just opened up. So it just talked in my ear here. I apologize. But you're not going to get the true value there. You got to beat the champs. You got to beat the best to be the best. And I'm not putting the Mariners in front of the Astros yet, but it's pretty damn close. The Angels are still sitting there. They got some moves to make. So am I buying what they're selling? Officially today, no, but they're sure dear fun to watch.
I think so too. I'm just trying to think of any big names that are left out there to talk about as far as any open free agency. As far as the White Sox, I'm shifting my focus. Gene Segura seems like a potential second base option. That'll not bad by any means, but yeah, not flashy or anything like that, obviously. So. Yeah, interesting to see. Like I told you, White Sox wise, if they don't do anything outfield wise, as far as signing outfielders, then Oscar Colas, who I told you, minor league prospect, I think our best prospect. If they don't sign any outfielders, then that's an indication that they think he's going to be ready or close to ready within a month or so. So, yeah, still holding out hope, but who knows? Who knows, my friend?
And you said Segura. I love Segura, and I don't know what his price tag will be, if it's going to be some kind of 2-3 year deal or whatever. And I know the Sox would be looking for a second baseman. They have one with Kiki. I don't know what their plans are, what their outfield's going to look like. I heard the Japanese kid is going to play one of the corners, and I heard through the grapevine he's not a good corner outfielder. So here we go again. I mean, right field at Fenway Park is like one of the hardest right fields to play in the game. So welcome to Boston, kid. There. All right, I'm going to change up here. And you know what? It's the same thing every goddamn Thursday. All right? It's Thursday night football. It's the NFL, and the game sucks. Okay? The actual number is 3.5, 4. The corrected number, 6.5. Won't go to 7. If you catch a 7, grab the Rams plus the 7 and don't watch it. It's on Amazon. Don't watch a lick of it.
Yeah.
I just listen, guys. The Vegas team was dead and buried. Then they've won 3 in a row. They got the Patriots next week, so Josh has got an eye on that one. They win this one, they're slowly back into a middle school of life. The Rams are dead and buried. They bring over Baker Mayfield. They're not sure if the kid that started last week can start. I mean, Baker Mayfield, if he ever did play, what's he going to have? Six calls on his sleeve? I mean, no Cooper Kupp, no Aaron Donald, no Allen Robinson. The list is endless, all right?
Right.
With that said, okay, I just break down the team totals here for everyone here. It's comical. And here's why I'm shaking my head, because the Raiders are 24.5 now, juiced under 120, which would be a go to me. Okay, but where I was coming on to tell everyone is this: the Rams. And I swear to God, my studio's bugged or something, because I was talking to someone earlier today. The Rams was 17 juiced under minus 25 cents. So you could have got them over 17 at plus 105. Well, now they're 17 minus 110 both sides. So I'm going to give you this stage and have at it, will you?
Oh, please. I mean, as far as all the names that you list, I'm not playing any of those sides. If I do anything, it might be what we'd usually mention with some touchdown scores or something. But as far as the spread, I'm not touching it. I was listening to somebody say, you can go to bed with if you pick the Raiders and they don't cover, you can at least sleep at night. And if you take the Rams and they get blown out, you're not going to be able to sleep. And if that's what you're telling yourself, then just don't play either side at all, because that's not typically a good range to be in. But I don't know. I've been on, I don't know if it's each of the last 3 weeks or 2 of the last 3 weeks, but Raiders as underdogs against Denver and Seattle I was into. And then I might have had on my action parlay against the Chargers last week. 2 as dogs, and then last week as a 2.5 point favorite. now a 6.5-point favorite, and everything that you just listed, I'm certainly not running to the window with the Raiders. It seems too damn easy, my friend. So, but at the same time, it's a tough pill to swallow with the Rams. Who the hell's playing quarterback? What's it going to look like? And so I don't know. For whatever reason, I'm not playing it. These totals are goofy. I just saw it drop a point from 43.5 to 42.5 with a lot of people playing the under because of all the things that we're talking about with the Rams. And so maybe by some weird grace, there's going to be, it's a 30 to 20 game or something like that, and we go over 27-20 or something like that. So I don't know. My heart leans towards the over for whatever reason here. Cam Akers is back and looked okay last week. This Raiders run defense isn't very good, so maybe the Rams run it some more and are able to move the ball. But I'm not playing the Raiders. That seems way too damn good to be true. With like you said, no Cooper Kupp, no Aaron Donald. And is Baker Mayfield going to play after walking into the building 2 days ago? Everyone's going to be interested in fading the Rams there. So I'm sticking far away from it, my friend. But gun to my head, if I had to make a pick on the spread, I think the Rams can keep this close somehow. But keep me out of it. No, thank you. Hard no, thank you.
Yeah, and the Raiders, whenever you put your hard-earned money on the Raiders, you're better off just opening the door, putting it in your hand, and let the wind blow it away. Because as dogs, when no one expected them, they did great. Now they're favored. Now the Patriots come in next Sunday, which they were the primetime game at 8:30 or 8:20, and the NFL said, not so fast, guys. We are not watching Mac Jones versus Derek Carr. And instead, we'll go to even more paint dry with the Giants and the Commanders Part 2, who ended in a tie last week. So I have 43.5 with a 6. That's the true numbers. At Circa right now with Jeffrey Benson and Mr. Metcalf, 42 and a 6.5. So every time I see this on a Thursday night, I too will lean over. And at halftime, it's 3-0, and the final score is 17-6 or something there. If off the top of my head, the whole world it's got to be minus 150. What is Devontae Adams' anytime score?
I see. I'm sure there is some 150s, probably closer to consensus. This one I'm looking at minus 140.
Oh, my God. I'm just going to keep hitting tickets. Go ahead, because he's got to score, and then might as well sprinkle in a little Josh Jacobs with Josh Jacobs.
Minus 140 as well.
Keep pressing him. And on the Rams, Eric Dickerson. Is he available tonight? I mean, this is just comical. I mean, I'm going to go to Marshall Faulk. I'm going to go to wide receivers here. I can't even think of any. The best show on turf. For shits and giggles. All right, here we go. Consensus. For the Raiders, I'm going to go off the board, and I'm going to go Moreau touchdown. What's Moreau tonight?
You and I are thinking the same thing, my friend. He is plus 250. That was my Raiders pick as well.
Okay, so we're on the same there. And for the Rams, I am going so far off the board. And if you give me 6, 7, 8 to 1, I know it's the wrong side. I just got a feeling. Van Jefferson.
350.
Van Jefferson and Moreau.
I was gonna go. Well, Cam Akers had 2 touchdowns last week, and this is not a very good rushing defense, right? So, and he's plus 170. That one, I was expecting to see Cam Akers around the plus 100 spot there, but plus 170. That's a little concerning. Brandon Powell, plus 430, had 4 catches last week. So maybe, coming up a little bit in this offense, who knows, man. That would be my if I had to take a swing at some longer shot there, maybe with the Rams. I don't mind Van Jefferson at all. Maybe I go double tight ends and go Tyler Higbee and Foster Moreau on both sides there. But, it's tough to call with this Rams offense. Unless you think Cam Akers is pounding the rock, and he'll get a couple goal line opportunities. It's almost thrown at a dartboard at this point with the Rams.
Yeah, I was going to throw Isaac Bruce and Torrey Holt out to the crew, but ECSI VIPs, we go 1-1 last night. We took our first loss. Our win Calgary team total over 3.5. They get to 5 plus 115. And our dead on arrival, we had over 143 in the UConn Florida game. First time we got involved in a UConn game. Florida just nowhere to be found. UConn did their job, landed on 129. 4-1 this week. are 21-6 our last 27 games. So hats off to everyone. We're decorating the halls. We're filling the Christmas stockings and putting presents under everyone else's trees. Tough board tonight. Not a lot out there. And I'm an open book. I got to be 100% honest with everyone. I had a game on already written down for tonight. It was Denver in College, and it was the over. And I'm like, oh, that will probably be our one game for Thursday night. And I come in this morning and I'm looking to see where the line went and the total went, and I can't find it. I go to Ken Palm and I punch in Denver. It was a late night game last night that ended up 87-85 in overtime. So they scored 172 points and the total was like 149. No, 143 or something. So there was my one play that was last night instead of tonight. So before we dive into the NBA tonight, I talked about it earlier today. I'm just going to say this, guys. I'm not a homer. When I go into my office, I leave my heart and my ego at the door. I never drank the Kool-Aid within Bill We Trust and Tom for the 2 decades. Larry Bird, I'm Bobby Orr. I was Ray Bork. Okay. A little Paul Pierce. You know, the new kids, the new NBA, forget about it. It's just not me. I went to 2 playoff games last year. I saw game 1 against the Bucks. The Bucks beat them by 20. I saw game 3 against the Heat and Jimmy Butler and the boys. I think the start of the game was 22-4 Heat. Never even close there. The Celtics lose their coach because he couldn't keep it in his pants. They signed Gallinari. He gets hurt. They bring in Brogdon, who I absolutely love. And the Time Lord is out. So the Celtics get out to the best record in the NBA. The Bulls take care of them a couple times. The Cavaliers take care of them. They go out west, and they had the Suns last night. The return of Chris Paul, by the way. No Al Horford, and I think they got the 2 LA teams after. I turned on the game. I'm like, you know what? I just want to get a little feel for what this is looking. Celtics were up 41, and I took my glasses off. I'm like, it's got to be dirty here. And then I go back. I watched it for 5 minutes, and these are paid millionaires. With the Suns were the number 1 seed last year. Paid millionaires at home, down by 40. And I guess the local said at one point, Jaylen Brown hit a 3, and it was like 93-49. What the hell is going on here?
And they were the number 1 seed last year until last night's game. They were the number 1 seed in the West right now. They're 16-9. They've been the best of the West up until last night. I don't know, man. I had it on for a second to start the game, and then it was a 10-point game, then it was a 20-point game, and I was like, this is gonna stay like this all game. They're gonna make a little bit of a run, and then it gets worse and worse. And so I barely watched a second of it, but I don't know what to tell you as far as. Is this going to sustain the entire? Are they going to go, on a nice run here like they did last year in January, February? Probably not, but who knows? At this point, you almost expect the wheels to fall off. But I think it's a lot of the rest of the NBA still trying to figure themselves out, still get some of these rotations in, and the Celtics are like, no, we're pretty happy with what we've got going on here. We'll roll out our best 5 and our best rotations here and smack you in the mouth, and we're playing solid defense and we're scorching hot offensively. So I expect it to slow down a bit, but and they've obviously, like you said, my Bulls obviously had their own problems. Who knows if they'll even make the damn play in, let alone be a playoff team. But the Celtics have their matchups that cause them trouble. I mean, the 2 teams that you mentioned, Cleveland and Chicago, would give them fits in a playoff series. Like I said, if the Bulls are able to make it there, that's who as opposed to the Bucks or Cleveland or Brooklyn or Philly, I would pick the Celtics just matchup wise. But at the end of the day, it's scorching hot for the Celtics. And I mean, aside from, you've got Milwaukee, who's also quietly 18-6. They're cruising just as well, or maybe not just as well, but without blowing teams out by 20-30 every night, they're still cruising along, and Cleveland's playing well. But after that, the 4th place team is 14-12 right now in the East. So the parity right now is is so damn close. But now I think you're starting to see a lot of these, not all of them, because the Jazz obviously have decided that they're not going to tank at all, and they're going to just keep winning and be a playoff team apparently. But a lot of these tanking teams are starting to get worse and worse. I mean, you got San Antonio on an 11-game losing streak now. Detroit's held out Kate Cunningham for a while. Orlando's starting to continue to lose. So I think a lot of those top-level teams will probably start to cruise through the bottom of these conferences and start, the Nets, the Hawks, Philly, the Raptors, whoever are going to start, getting above 500 and maybe not a Celtics-type run from last year, but at least be comfortably above 500. But it's been weird. It's been a toss-up for 90% of these teams. Or the middle of the pack, the middle 10 to 20 teams is a giant toss-up right now. So I think a couple of these teams will rise and be a lot better in a month or two. But so far, it's been a ton of parity aside from the Celtics and Bucks for the most part right now.
Yeah, and I'd almost because I know Jimmy Butler and that crew are not as scared of the Celtics. They're not.
Right.
They're just walking. They don't care. They'll play in Dorchester on chain nets. They are not afraid of this.
Yeah.
They do give a rat's ass about the Celtics. I know a healthy Bucks team will match up very well against the Celtics. Cleveland will be just a little too young. I think Cleveland will win around. I think they're just, you need in the NBA, especially the passing of the torch in the guard. It takes you a year or two to get through one series, then to the second series. I saw it with Bird, saw it with Jordan. It took a few years. But the East is so dumb. I mean, we haven't even talked about the Sixers. We haven't talked about the Nets. We haven't talked about the Raptors. I would be willing to say right now on December 8th, 2022, and I don't think anyone's got it out there, I would just take the East. I don't know what the spread is, what the money line is over the West. I don't care if Golden State gets scorching hot. Hats off to Zion finally being healthy. They're playing great ball. If they're not going to be the team in the East in the championship, I think the Suns with the inept and always hurt Chris Paul. A Booker's a nice piece, but it is what it is. Aiden's injured, not injured. Utah wants to tank, as you said. The Spurs. I mean, there's a handful of okay teams. Denver's the one team no one's talking about that I think could represent the West if healthy come playoff time.
If healthy, maybe because they feel like they're, just missing the right piece or two, right? So maybe they're a team that gets aggressive at the trade deadline because, there's a few teams that could make a move that could, change the landscape of this completely. But and I guess another team that needs to make a move, but you could put it in that category as well, would be Dallas. If they make the right move and get a piece that works perfectly with Luka, then, they're a dangerous team for sure as well. And then I'm not even going to mention the Clippers because, if they're healthy and playing both of those guys at the right time, then they're dangerous. But that is the biggest if that we, aside from Chris Paul, maybe have in the entire NBA. Well, at least in the West for sure.
And I'll just say this, the Clippers were one of the preseason favorites. The Sharps made sure because they're 8-9 deep. If they're healthy come the playoff time, they wanted to make sure they have their tickets set. If they're not, then so be it. I'm just going to bring this up. I think Luka's a hell of a talent. Mm-hmm. I'm going to compare him to Paul Pierce. Paul never won anything till when they brought in Ray Allen and Kevin Garnett. Now, I'm not saying Brunson was the second of the third piece when he moved on, but Cuban needs to get creative. Is Luka going to be your face for the next 10 to 12, 15 years, however long he's going to be there? Are you going to bring him a number 2 and a number 3? Like I said, Ray Allen and Kevin Garnett. If Luka had a supporting cast, a 2 and a 3, then we're talking. But he can't, as Brady Tinker says, he pounds the ball for 22 seconds, creates, and then shoots. You can't do that in today's NBA.
Right. No, 100% agree. Yeah. Me mentioning it was 100% hinging on them if they make the right, move for whoever that is. Right. And I don't know who that is by any stretch of it. So, and then obviously I just hope I might just be a bandwagon Kings and Jazz fan because the atmosphere in those games, man. I turned on the game against the Golden State last night. The place is just going. These two places are just going absolutely bonkers for these teams right now. So I'm sure one of them, maybe they both fall off. Maybe they both keep winning and are in the playoff race. But yeah, obviously you've got Golden State still at 500. I agree they're not the same team that they were last year, and I don't think they will be. But they'll be a factor again at some point here. So it's going to be interesting. It's been fun so far, and yeah, like I said, there's a few of these teams that are only getting worse at the bottom of the NBA here, and a couple of them are playing tonight. So interested to see how that one shakes out. But yeah, it's been fun so far.
3 games on the slate. Clippers at the Heat. I had an overnight of 5 and 214.5. I'm seeing 212 with a 6 now. Houston and the Spurs, as you said, 11-game losing streak. I had a 235 with a pick. Now it's Rockets minus 1.5 with a 230. And then the Nuggets at the Trailblazers. I had overnight a 227 with Portland minus 1. I now have Nuggets minus 1 and 227.5. Take it away.
Yeah, let's go back. Let's see. Clippers and the Heat. Heat minus 6. Let me just see here as far as the injury report. I believe Kawhi is go figure. Could you have guessed that Kawhi Leonard is going to be out for tonight's game? Kyle Lowry on the Miami side is out for that one. I know Hero was probable. I think he had a huge game the other night. He's probable. So no, I don't see any other definites aside from Terrence Mann also for the Clippers is out as well. So. Yeah, again, I haven't played a lot of these Clippers games because of a lot of what we've talked about as far as when some injury news is happening, you almost have to go against what the logic is. And this Clippers team almost always has some type of injury, happening or, everyone's back, but then they throw up a stinker. So I don't know. I'd be inclined to feeling like let's see, the 212 now that it's right there. I would have preferred it what you said at 214.5 to the under, but seems like that could be a stinky. One of these teams might be sticking under 100 points tonight in that game. What are you feeling with that total there?
Yeah, I saw John Wall probable, Marcus Morris probable, Hero probable, Jimmy Butler questionable. Well, when I see Jimmy Butler questionable and they're still hanging a 6, most likely he's going to play, but
right.
What the hell do I know? I had an opening 110 team total for Miami, 105 and a hook with the Clippers. Now I'm seeing 109 for the Heat, juiced over minus 115, and the Clippers at 103. I will go out on a limb, say A, Miami covers, B, Miami gets to that 109, 110, 111. And again, you will see the Clippers at that high 80s, low 90 number. They will not cross 100.
Yeah, I think I think their team total is like 104.5, 105 or something like that. So that one, as far as the NBA, that one kind of stuck out to me the most there, that total there. Houston and San Antonio, again, I already said it, 11 straight losses for the Spurs here. Playing a Houston team that is also one of the worst 4 or 5 teams in the league, but they're at least 5-5, I think, their last 10. So I don't know. I'm not playing anything out of this one. I've found a lot of value earlier on in the season with the Spurs and have since hung them up on the shelf and have accepted the money that I've gotten from those early covers and wins as big dogs there. But nothing would surprise me here. This is if both these teams are full-fledged in the in the tanking race, then this is an important one to lose if that's what you're talking there. So, and obviously these guys that are actually playing aren't going to be feeling like that. So I really don't know. It wouldn't surprise me if the Spurs, now that they this is the one game that they bounce back with and actually pull one off. So I guess gun to my head, I'll actually take the Spurs as home dogs here to get it done.
I'm going to go on record here, and I'm glad you said what you said, because I think Adam Silver's going to give Pops a call tonight, say, hey, can you do us a favor, kid? I know you want Wembanyama, who I haven't heard anything about in the last month or 6 weeks. Can you do us a favor? Can you show up tonight? Can you get a W? And then we'll start another 11-game losing streak. So, again, the actual opening line was a pick. With the 235 down to a 230. I will not pay for the flip tonight. I would lean Spurs, 5-point drop, on the under over. Team totals right now, 116 for Houston, 114.5 I'm seeing for the Spurs. I think the Spurs find a way to get it done. I'll go high scoring affair. I think it might tiptoe over the 230.
Yep, I'm with you, and I think after this game, I think the Rockets, the way they're playing, they've actually, as compared to the Spurs, I mean, the Rockets actually have a couple of young pieces that they're trying to build around for the future here. So as big dogs, I might be interested in the Rockets here in the near future, the way they're playing as opposed to the Spurs, who are the coldest team in the league. But I think this, yeah, I'm with you. I think this could be a bounce back spot. Denver and Portland. Dame Lillard is back for the Blazers. This is game number 2. He just played. They've had a few days off, actually, the Blazers here. They didn't play. They last played on the 4th, which is, I believe, Sunday. Got the win against the Pacers. Before that, without Lillard, the day before, got the win over the Jazz. I don't know what these tight spreads have been a little tricky for me, and obviously you've got Lillard back, so I don't know if a lot of people are buying into Lillard here. I'm kind of clueless on this one, if I'm being totally honest with you. Did you have any lean, or is this actually a complete toss-up for you here?
I think it's a Denver number. Now, with that said, 227 and Portland won. Now Denver won. Obviously, if you were going to play Denver tonight, I'd suggest the minus 115 or so on the money line. 227 and a half. You know, a 114, 113 game. That's what they're telling me. Opening team totals 113 and a half, 112 and a half. Now, right now, as I'm looking at 114, 113. So first one to 115 wins this game. The slightest lean with Denver. I think they're starting to put some pieces together. I like them long term. I'm seeing Michael Porter out, and for Portland, Josh Hart is probable. You know, it's a late night scratch and itch, 10-10 start on the Nuggets. But again, it's the NBA, guys, and all the ECSI VIPs, guys, know, listen, we'll throw an NBA game out here or there, but we stay far, far away. You know, the mindset, I'll tell you the truth, the mindset on the Celtics was when they went to Toronto, they were 2-point dogs on today's Thursday. So on Monday, 2-point dogs. So I says, you know what? Stay away. If they beat Toronto, they got the Suns in 2 days. So that's the spot. Well, being the smart person that I am, once in a while, I says, no banana in the tailpipe. Didn't touch the Toronto game. Didn't touch last night. I could see myself coming out last night. Yeah, Suns by 1 million. And then look at the first score and be like, woo, okay.
Yeah. No, as far as the NBA, I have had success in the early, like I said, kind of with the Spurs, those big dogs early in the season that are kind of playing above their skis a little bit. And then I have had a lot of success in that middle January up until the All-Star break. For whatever reason, teams get rolling a little bit. I've had a lot of success, and those have been the 2 most successful points of my NBA season the last few years, and everywhere else is a lot of like Denver, I think they're coming off 2 or 3 losses in a row. So, yeah, you would expect this to be a bounce-back game, but, you know, who knows? I'm not disagreeing with you at all. I think they could absolutely win this game. They've had a lot of success against Portland, but I'll go on record and saying that one's going to come down to the last minute of the game. How about that? So it actually might be a toss-up there, but I think I lean with you on Denver, though.
College ranks, I know you're happy. You got a Big Ten game. Actually, you got
a couple of them.
Well, yeah, you got a couple. Guys, you know I have 2 daughters at UConn. Well, I have one at UConn, one graduated, season ticket holder. What they're doing, I'm just being honest with you guys. You know, they got the token LIU game on Saturday. Thanks for playing there. I think what's Ken Palm? Ken Palm's got him winning 89-52. So they got him probably they got him favored by almost 40. At Florida by 21. At home against Okie State by 10. Then they that weekend or whatever in Thanksgiving, you know, beat Iowa State by 18, beat Alabama by 15, beat Oregon by 28. Guys, this was February, March, getting ready for the conference championship. I don't know what to say right now. They're number 5 right now in the country. I dipped my toe. It was supposed to go flying over, but their defense just shut down Florida. I know Billy Donovan wasn't there. I know Al Horford wasn't there. I don't know what to say. You know, they're favored by 10 on Saturday, next Saturday at Butler. They got them beaten Georgetown by 23 on the 20th. They got them beaten Villanova by 13. Xavier by 5. So maybe on New Year's Eve will be their first. But I'm just saying this because they're ahead of schedule, guys. Trust me on that.
And they'll be, I mean, Texas just lost, so they'll be number 4 by after this week for sure. Potentially even Houston's got Alabama this weekend, so UConn might be vying for the number 1 team in the country. Who the hell knows, man? I don't know. And then I think Houston, by just total offshoot, I didn't realize this. They've got Alabama this weekend, and then the following Saturday they play Virginia. So 2 top 10 teams each Saturday here for Houston. So that's going to be. I've been able to watch them too much. Obviously, obviously a lot of people are respecting them. So, but yeah, 3 Big Ten games, my friend. Illinois with a big win against Texas at MSG the other night. That one was a big one for us there. So, Rutgers and Ohio State, though, this one is not at the rack, so it is not Rutgers at the rack. 6.5 point spread, my friend. Feels pretty spot on. This Ohio State team isn't flashy by any means, but they get the job done. They play well at home, obviously. Lost to Duke. How long ago was that? A week plus ago. Only a couple losses, San Diego State and that Duke game. And Rutgers lost by 7. Go figure. Exactly 7 on the road at Miami. So now you're getting a 6.5 there. So. I don't know. Any love towards Rutgers today? This one is kind of a toss-up on the spread to me. If you've got a feeling either which way, go ahead and lay it down for me.
Ken Palm, Ohio State 20, Rutgers 31. He's got it at 71-65 as you just broke it down. Ohio State, 2 losses, San Diego State and Duke. Played on Saturday against St. Francis, PA, and 96-59 there. We talked about Rutgers last Friday. That was a perfect spot. Saturday against Indiana, they took care of business. Box to Ohio won by 15. Yep. Past history after a big upset at home, especially on the weekend, they usually don't bode well. But I think what you said a minute ago was spot on. I think they got the number pretty good here. I think 6 is right around where this will be. Now, if I had to play the game in a lean, I'd lean Ohio State here, hope to get that 8, 9, 10-point win, the free throws at the end there.
Yeah.
Lean Ohio State, but I think the number's pretty spot on.
Yep, 100% with you. I don't know what else to say other than that. I think, like I said, how many times did they have it last year? The huge home win and then, disappointed on the road. And yes, they're an awesome home team, not as great of a road team, but it's when you have those emotional wins at home, it's tough to then turn around on the road there. So I'm staying away. If I had to throw together some type of action parlay or something along those lines, maybe I'm thinking about Ohio State on the money line if you're trying to get some entertainment out of this. But other than that, I think the spread is fairly spot on there.
I had a 136 over 19 cents last night with a 5.5 at 6, and we'll say 136.5. So some quick math here. 71.65. So did they give you by any chance 70 in a hook, or did they give you 71 in a hook?
71 in a hook and 65 in a hook.
Yeah, that's pretty spot on. I'd like to say, they're going to get to 72 or more. I wouldn't suggest that, and I wouldn't suggest going over on the Rutgers team total. This game is spot on.
Yep. Yeah, and I mean, again, I'm not touching Ohio State's team total, but after Rutgers just held Indiana to 48 points, then maybe, the 71 is eye-opening. I don't know, but yeah, feels pretty spot on to me. Other one, huge rivalry game, only one Big Ten team, but one of the underrated rivalries in the country, in my opinion, both football and basketball. Iowa State, Iowa. Iowa State, number 20th ranked AP team in the country right now. They've only got one loss, who I believe you just mentioned. It's your Huskies, right? Yep, Huskies by a big score. Other than that, they've been playing well. Beat a Villanova team by 2, but not a very impressive Villanova team to what we were, either your expectations or obviously past. Beat a UNC team by 5, but obviously we've seen what's happened with this UNC team, and just beat a St. John's team, which is tough and scrappy, but 6.5 point favorites there. So I think a lot of people are probably surprised to see Iowa State as 3.5 point underdogs here, but you could make the case that Iowa just lost to Duke the other day, right? But you could make the case that Iowa might have been peeking ahead here to this game. Iowa State got the win last year. Iowa typically has had a lot of success in this matchup. I think they had the 3 meetings before that go their way. A lot of close spreads. There was the one year where Iowa with Garza was really, really good in 2020, and they were 13.5-point favorites and took care of business. But other than that, it's been a lot of 2, 3, 4, 5-point spreads here. So, again, another one where it's tricky. Iowa is a tricky team to bet on with the pace that they play at. They can either be hot or they can be cold. But I will lean towards Iowa on the spread here. But, again, I'm probably staying away from it, my friend. But the total, honestly, at 137.5 is a little surprising.
Well, again, I'm not an injury guy. Okay, we had an overnight here, and people, please take note here. 139.5 juiced over 19 cents. So I mean, they were going to 140. Iowa -7 and a hook juiced to 05, which means they were going to 7. A corrected number of 3.5, and here is why. For Iowa, Chris Murray out with a walking boot, or was to be expected to be out. Let me just double check here. And I'm just breaking down some numbers. Yeah, he's doubtful. One of their bigger players, and I'm just trying to look at some, he's part of the offense as they try to break it down here at Ken Palm, about 25 to 28%. And I'm just looking at his output here. He's a big part of the offense, hence the 4-point drop, number one. Number two, but the total. And as we're talking right now, our buddy Mr. Benson just moved it up to 138, and everyone else has just popped that up to 137 and a hook. If I had to play the game, I would play Iowa, just because people remember what they saw last on Monday night at Madison Square Garden against Duke. That happens to everyone when they go to MSG, number one. Number two, little bounce back spot. As you said, Iowa State got them last year. Is that correct?
Yep.
A little revenge spot. And number three, I do think this goes over. But again, I would lean Iowa. I would lean over. But just also know that Murray is out.
Yeah, and it's a situation. He is their best scorer, but he's kind of either he scores 30 or he scores 10. And he's had a couple 10-point outings or in that range, and they've been just fine. So he's not quite his brother Keegan Murray, but he is pretty damn good. But they can still, I mean, the pace that they play at is really what in a lot of cases decides these types of games. So it's going to be interesting tonight for sure.
So 137 and a hook with a 3.5, 65 is 130, 70 to 67. So did they give you the 70 and a hook with Iowa?
Yes, 70 and a hook. A lot of places minus 120, and then I see 71 and a hook at plus money. I wouldn't run to the window to say they get to 71. But after Monday's showing, I think they offensively they won't have a problem, because I think Iowa State could be less than that 67 there, but I think it's a good bounce back spot for Iowa tonight. Yeah. I mean, you could even. I mean, your Huskies beat them 71-53. If that's what you're telling me, the type of game we're gonna see tonight, I would almost lean towards that, right? So,
and then what did you say? What did the Huskies score
in that game? 71, I believe. So right.
And that was at a neutral site. Don't forget too.
Yeah,
Iowa's at home, so again they give you the little. Do you need the boost? I just don't know how much we're gonna get from Iowa State on that one, but I think it's a good Iowa spot. I do lean the over. I just don't know what Iowa State's going to bring to the table. The more I'm starting to talk myself into buying the hook and say Iowa -3, first one to 70 wins. I could see a 70, 62, 63 game, but I could see Iowa lighting it up at halftime. You look and they got, 42, 43 points as well.
Right. And I'm just looking now. Obviously, it's not a traveling situation. They're traveling, but it's in-state travel. But they had the neutral site games like you talked about, with UConn, I know, and then a couple of other ones. This is definitely going to be the toughest environment that they've played in. Sure, there'll be some Iowa State fans, but I mean, Iowa, these two hate each other, and these fan bases hate the other side, and it's going to be a lot of black and yellow obviously in Iowa. And it's going to be a tough environment. So if you put any stake in that, then obviously it's going to be a tough one for Iowa State there.
And I'm so glad you said that too, because people need to really dig deep. I know people don't like to do homework. They like to join the show, and I can't thank everyone that's here today. Thank you, thank you. Tweet, retweet, tell a friend. Let's build this thing up. You guys can ask away all the questions you want to. If I can answer it, O'Reilly, we will here. But when you get a team that's 8, 9, 10 games into the schedule this year, okay, you need to go back and do your homework. How many of those were at home? How many were on neutral? That's why, again, the UConn, I keep going back to UConn, but last night I was leery of it. That was their first true road game.
Yeah.
Okay. They played all their home games against Cupcakes, and then they played a couple neutral games against Oregon, Alabama, Iowa State. Then they came back home and beat Oklahoma State. That was their first true road game. So look at Iowa State today. Is this their first true road game? Is it?
It is, yeah. They at the UConn and a couple others, maybe I think in Oregon or something like that as neutral sites. Yep.
Yeah. Okay. 3 home games, 3 neutrals, 2 home games. Yeah. So this is their first true road game right now. And again, I'm not saying, they're 7-1. Their only loss was to UConn, and they lost by 18. It was a neutral site. It was Thanksgiving weekend. So keep an eye on that. But I think it's a good bounce back spot for Iowa.
Yep, I agree there. And if Providence kind of slapped this metric in the face a little bit last year, but a lot of teams didn't.
Yeah.
As far as the luck factor per Ken Pom, I believe Iowa State is like 31st or something like that. So depending on how much stake you put in that, that's a lot of times when you see a team that's 8-1 or 9-1 and they're underdogs. That's a luck factor is a part of that there for sure. But this other one though, Jeff, I am very interested in your thoughts. Michigan and Minnesota. And this one seems low. It's a tough pill to swallow if I'm interested in Minnesota, which I admittedly am. But you've got Michigan off of 2 losses, so maybe you would say this is a get-right spot, but they just played on Sunday in London against Kentucky, and 2 back-to-back games against Virginia and Kentucky, and 2 very, very, very hard-fought losses, and now this last one on Sunday is in London, and now they're turning around on Thursday on the road in Minnesota. And as not so good as Minnesota is, they are the pretty clear bottom team in the Big Ten, number 14 out of 14 teams in the Big Ten. I don't know. Is any of that wear and tear giving you any interest in Minnesota? The one thing I'll add before I kick it to you, Michigan's been basically playing kind of a rotation 5-6 deep for the most part, and this wear and tear that I'm kind of talking about is really what's gotten me interested even more. Whereas Minnesota, they've got 10 guys that play 15 minutes a game or more. So if you're buying into the rustiness, the jet lag, whatever the hell you want to call it, that at least would favor Minnesota. Are they good enough to cover 5 though? I don't know. I'm at least interested in a lot of those factors that come into this one though right here.
Go back to the London football games, and for a long, long time, teams that went to London, you always faded them the next week. They just never played well at home. I look at the fact that they played on Tuesday against a real good Virginia team, lost by 2. They go to London against Kentucky, they lost by 4. And speaking of the Big Ten, we're always talking about the cellar dwellers, Minnesota. Who's the biggest cellar dweller of all? It's Nebraska. And what'd they do this past weekend? They beat Creighton, didn't they? Yeah. Go
definitely.
figure. Minnesota, okay. UNLV on a neutral court. I'm probably higher on UNLV than a lot of people. I think on a good day, UNLV's okay. I know there's no Grandma Ma and there's some other, Coach Tarkanian's not there, but UNLV's okay.
Yeah.
A Virginia Tech team, if you're not and haven't seen this team play, they're legit. They're good. And then obviously we know about Purdue. And they lost to them by 19.
But
you're right.
But I'll stop you right there before you continue. Zach Edey put up like 30-some points. Hunter Dickinson is good, but he's not Zach Edey, 7'4". And Edey was the reason why Purdue beat Minnesota by 20 points or whatever it was. And Minnesota ain't rolling out Zach Edey tonight.
Exactly. And now Michigan comes to town. My first thought was, wow, this number looks low. I had a 4.5 with a 135.5. I'll go over to Circa right now. What does the boys have? 4.5 with a 135.5. 65 is 130. 67, 63. So did they give you 69. So they gave you 70. So they gave you 70, 65. So they gave you Michigan 70 and a hook, correct?
That is correct. Exactly. 70 and a
Yeah.
hook.
I lean Minnesota, and when I lean Minnesota, run to the window, play the other team. I haven't picked that team. I get tomorrow's newspaper, and if I took Minnesota, they lose by 20. They're my Maryland's. I just never. It's a. I want to say it's a Minnesota number, because how we broke this down. I really do,
Yeah.
because there's no way in hell Michigan back to back and London now 5-point favorites. I think Minnesota not only covers and should win. Okay, that's what I'm saying right here at 5 o'clock on December 8th, 2022, which means go play Michigan and don't watch the game.
I know, and it's honestly, but Michigan and themselves, aside from all the factors that we just laid out, going back to last year under Juwan Howard, is just a team that is really unpredictable. They either play up to teams or they play down to teams, which would lead you towards Minnesota again. But like you said, just when you expect them to have a horrible situation going against them is when they actually look like the Fab Five and put up 80 and win by 20. So it's a hard lean towards Minnesota. If I had to play one game on college basketball NBA, this might be the one, but it's a tough pill to swallow, and yeah. I could lay out I could keep going as far as why it makes sense, but I'm hesitant here a little bit here, and Hunter Dickinson might be the reason why, just like Zach Edey was. If Hunter Dickinson's fine and healthy and well rested and feeling fine, then maybe he's the reason why they go box the wire here. But it's a hard lean towards Minnesota, but I don't know. And not to mention they won both matchups. I guess they only played once last year, but they've won 3 of the last 4 matchups against them, for Christ's sake. So, man, it's a hard lean towards Minnesota, but I'm scared. I am scared.
Yeah, all signs for me point there, which means Michigan goes box to wire. I look at Minnesota being home on November 14th, their third game of the year against a good DePaul team that I think Michigan has similar styles there. They like to go up and down. They have a big guy. Like I said, when I'm all points to Minnesota, they get blown out. So if you want action on this game, I'll tell you this. Okay? You take Minnesota first half and you run and hide. Maybe you get the good start. If you like Michigan, play them in the full game, because I'm just looking at this and everything to me points to Minnesota.
I know. I like I said, I could keep going about this, and neither team really has a look ahead. It's all the Minnesota obviously just lost to Purdue. They've got this one, Michigan coming off of the London game. I'm certainly not playing Michigan, but I don't know. What time does this game start at here? At 8 o'clock my time, 9 o'clock your time. So still a little time to marinate on it. But if you see me cussing on Twitter, it's because I played Minnesota and they're getting their butt kicked.
I'm just trying to look at this game for 1 second. No, they're pretty evenly matched. I was looking at Marshall and Duquesne, 114, 102.
A couple decent, at least record-wise, mid-major games, it looks like, tonight.
Yeah, Duquesne only lost to Kentucky by 25 at their place. They've played every game at home. Their one neutral site was beating Colgate 85-80, when Colgate's pretty damn good there. Let's take a look at Marshall. They lost their first game of the year to 208 ranked Queens, 83-82. Since then, have won 7 in a row. No big names on there. They just beat an Ohio team by 14. Marshall. They've played a couple road games. No, I was trying to see if I could see anything into that, but I don't see anything at all.
That one, and then UMass Lowell and UMass. Anything with that one either?
I tell you what, this is for recruiting rights, and I will just say this: UMass is on. I had a 3 with a 143. I'm seeing right now 3 with a 144.5 at 2.5 at Circa. See, these guys are smart, okay? Because the general public will say UMass has got to beat its stepchild with UMass Lowell. Okay, so UMass at home. They got one loss against Townsend, and that was at home, the second game of the year. Since then, on no neutral court, they beat Colorado. We had Colorado that game. They beat them by 3. They beat Murray State, who you know and I know is sneaky. Charlotte can score once in a while. South Florida, Harvard, and Albany. Okay. I look at this UMass Lowell team. Their only loss was at the rack, and they
Yeah.
lost by 8. Sacred Heart, Emerson Brown, no thanks. Hey, TJ, they beat Stonehill by 14, so nice showing there, sir. Not bad there at all. Merrimack, Sacred Heart, LIU. I think everyone flocks to UMass, and I will go on record and say UMass Lowell is the correct side tonight.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just looking at. I don't know how many in a row. I see. I only get the last 5, but UMass getting the last 5 straight wins, taking care of business in this one. And last year, 9.5-point favorite. 2 years before that, 6.5-point favorite. So now down to 2.5. You know, I can definitely buy what you're selling me right now. I'll probably leave it on the table, but was at least curious with a couple of solid mid-major games. It looks like.
And as we talk, 2 of the places that I am looking at now just dropped it to 2.5. So if you had a chance to grab a 3, probably too late. So go grab the 2.5 with pride.
I think that's about all I've got, my friend. Yeah, we already talked NBA. Any NHL games that you had on the on deck?
1, 2, 3, 5 games. I usually don't say this. I will just. I reached out to our buddy Andrew. I wanted to give him an inside scoop. Pregame.com. The way I understand it, they follow 3 to 5 sports books or casinos, and they're somehow tied with the state of Texas. And I talk about the state of Texas, the oil money. They usually come into Vegas on Thursday, and then on Friday, the West Coast action comes in. And I like to check them out, pregame.com. You go, you hit odds, and then you hit consensus. You can track betting that way. When there's a game, either the Dallas or one of the Texas teams is playing. And the reason I'm bringing this up is I know earlier in the week, Andrew was on the Stars at home, and they laid an egg. And I saw that Dallas was playing tonight. And against the Senators, they opened up minus 195. They're right around 200, 195. And the reason that I bring it up, I sent him a text because I looked at it. They had $7,000, $7,700 on them up till 152. Then at 258, someone dropped 50,000 on the Stars at minus 190. Now, listen, that doesn't mean to go play Dallas money line. It doesn't. It's just the way I'm wired to say, all right, is anyone in the state of Texas, any of that good oil money, looking at the Stars on a bounce back tonight? That's all I did. And you still got the Rockets that are playing, the Spurs. I didn't see any big bags dropped over there for that one, but I did see 50 large on the Stars tonight, minus 190. So I was looking at the team total for the Stars. I don't like to play minus money. I like to grab plus money. But the Stars team total tonight is 3.5 juiced over minus 135, with Ottawa 2.5 juiced over minus 150. The under over opened last night at 6 over minus 30 cents. They just pushed it to 6.5 minus 25. So my point is this is, I'm going to go on record say Ottawa might not get to 3, but I think Dallas gets to 4. Now, this could be a classic shootout, 3-3, who gets to 4 first. But when I see those 2.5s over minus 150, I can't go to the window. If you Venmo me 100, I wouldn't go and play 2.5 over minus 150. There's no value there. I don't even like playing the 3.5 over minus 135. But when I start adding everything up, is it easier to go to the window and play the 6.5 over minus 30 cents? I don't know if Ottawa gets to 3 tonight. I don't. I'm not going to pay to find out. So again, I think Dallas tiptoes to 4 minus the 35 cents there, the team total tonight.
Okay. I could hear. I mean, a goose egg for Dallas the other day. So, yeah, could be due for a nice bounce back. I don't know. With hockey, again, I'm not the hockey guy. Ottawa's gotten them the last 4 times. Is that any type of, revenge fodder by any means? Or is that more concerning if you're Dallas? or looking at Dallas?
Well, ask yourself that question. Ottawa's won the last 4 times, yet they're minus 2 to 1. They're minus
Well, there you go.
200.
Yeah.
And the fact that Dallas laid an egg last game at home, I think it's the perfect storm. Now, I know a lot of people will run to the window and bet the over. And especially when I just told you Ottawa's 2.5. Vegas is telling you they think they get to 3, but you got to pay a premium. And the premium isn't as much for Dallas, but their team total, they got to get to 4. So most people will say, well, Jeff, why would I spend 35 cents for Dallas to get to 4? I'm not spending 50 cents for Ottawa to get to 3. I'm just going to go play over 6.5 minus the 30 cents. Well, good luck.
Yeah.
I would rather play Dallas knowing the fact that they laid an egg and they're 0-4 against Ottawa the last 4, yet Vegas has got a minus 200. So I think
Right.
the perfect storm is, yes, Dallas wins. Am I running to them in regulation? Am I running to them in a puck line? No, no, and no. I've had more success this year in team totals, in college football, in the NFL, in college basketball, in NHL. And I feel more confident in Dallas getting the 4 tonight, getting too early, and getting the third in the third period, whether it's an empty net in the fourth. I'm comfortable with them getting to 4 tonight, minus the 30 or 35 cents.
Fair enough. Sounds good to me, my friend. So that is all I've got. Anything else to drop down?
No, enjoy the NFL game. I won't watch a list. It's the last week of the regular season in fantasy for us. I have Carlson in one team. Renfro's on the IL. Waller's on the IL. On the Rams, I had the Schnettberg, whatever the hell that wide receiver is. I cut him.
Skoronik or whatever it is?
Yeah. How about scrotum? How's that? Yeah, Skoronik is right, but nothing there. Closing thoughts.
No, as far as that is concerned, my dynasty playoffs are starting this week, week 14, 15, 16. I erased an 80-point deficit for most points crown and got my first round bye. So I'm sitting pretty this week. I'm feeling good, and I've got work to do in my other one to I think lock down a playoff spot. But nonetheless, feeling good about that stuff going on there. So and no, as far as closing thoughts, you tweeted it out, so I assume we're on for a Big Ten show tomorrow. Is that correct? Big Ten show tomorrow morning?
Well, I will confirm it. Do we have college hoops to talk about on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday?
No games on Friday. There are some good games Saturday and Sunday, though, Big Ten wise.
All right, 11:30 my time, 10:30 your time. My question is, going up till next Friday, there's no Big Ten bowl games, correct? Or there would.
That is a good question. Up until I know, obviously, this weekend is just what's it called? Navy and Army there. That's a good question. I didn't see when the first one started there. No, goodness, not until the 27th. So after Christmas is the first Big Ten bowl game. They've got nothing in before Christmas there.
And I just wanted, we've had so many watchers and listeners tonight. I'm just going to, in case people can't come back tomorrow, I got a beer and pizza total for you. It's comical. Tomorrow night, rotation number 308-955. It's called Incarnate Word versus rotation number 308-956, Sacramento State. Yes, I am telling you this. Yes, the total is 76 or 76.5. And beer, pizza money, whatever you want to call it, eggnog money, just Cracker Jack money, whatever. Just sprinkle a little something on the over 76 or 76.5. I think both teams get into the 40s. Sacramento State is 7-point favorites there.
I thought you were talking about basketball for a second. I was like, 76.5. What are we talking about over here? Goodness gracious. No, that's FCS playoffs, right?
Yeah.
IW, yeah.
So that was the funny one there on Saturday. You said Army, Navy. A pick 'em to start with a 35. It's now, of course, everyone bets the under there. It's 32.5. Everyone thinks it's going to land 17-14. I liked it at a pick 'em with Navy. They're now 2.5-point favorites there, which I don't like. And Holy Cross, South Dakota State. South Dakota State was 17 and a 54.5. Now 19 with a 53, 53.5, 54. So.
Yep, nothing crazy. And then some good, to close it out as far as setting up the Big Ten show tomorrow. Indiana, Arizona on Saturday, I know. That'll be a good one. Not sure where that one is at exactly, but Indiana, Arizona, Illinois, Penn State. Penn State just got Michigan State bounced back and got them last night. Purdue, Nebraska, nothing crazy there. And then Sunday, I know there are some good ones as well. Tennessee and Maryland, that's a good one. Wisconsin and Iowa, Seton Hall and Rutgers at the rack, and then 23 Mississippi State at Minnesota. So some good games to talk about this weekend.
All right, I'll close with it. What'd you say? Seton Hall at Rutgers.
Yep.
Sunday. Seton Hall's struggling early, so Rutgers will probably be 2.5. Let me see something here. Rutgers, see how close I am here. Rutgers. I say 2.5. They'll be favored. They won't be dogs against Seton Hall.
No. I'll say 3.5.
Holy shit, Batman. What?
Everybody's going to want a piece of them at the rack, though. That's for sure.
Hold on here. Oh, they got Ohio State tonight. Wow. 8-point favorites.
Who's that? Rutgers?
Rutgers against Seton Hall. What do I not know about Seton Hall this year? They lost to Iowa. They lost to Oklahoma. The loss to Sienna's not good. They lost to Kansas. Monmouth, St. Peter, Wagner. They beat Memphis by 1. They just played Lincoln, PA. I would just say that's pretty damn inflated, boys. But Ken Palm knows, not me.
That's wild. I mean, their defense at home is, I think, 3 straight under 50 performances. So maybe that's what we see again. I don't know, man. 8, that is surprising to me. I'm curious what the actual number will be on the books this weekend. But, that's everyone's going to want a piece of them. So that's going to be, that'll be a tough one to cover, I think.
It'll be interesting to see how they play tonight at Ohio State. But Ken Palm has it by 8. I'll call BS on that one. I'll call 5.5 at tops, and I know Seton Hall will get a lot of money early there, so we'll figure that one out. So tomorrow, 11:30 my time, 10:30 your time, the Big Ten review. Then at 4, actually, I have to be out of the office by 6, so let's plan 3:30 my time if you're available tomorrow for the closing bell.
Sure.
We'll bring Mr. Lucky in at 4:15. We'll be out around 4:45, 5 o'clock. I got about 40-minute travel, so I have to be in Plymouth at 6:15. So no babysitting, right?
No, it's going to be 35 degrees and half rain, half snow. So I am not stepping foot outside my home tomorrow. That's for sure.
From myself, Jeff Dawson at EC Sports Invest, from the one and only Riley Magnuson at Riley_Magnuson, the one. We wish everyone a blessed evening. Enjoy Thirsty Thursday. If you came on late today, you can go back to Twitch or YouTube and replay. We had some prop bets. We had some talks, some leans, some potential plays tonight. The ECSI VIPs, you'll get an alert out soon. And otherwise, tomorrow morning at 9 a.m., the Sportsbook Confessions with Dave Sharapan and Brady Tinker, supposedly 11:30, Riley Magnuson for the Big Ten review, and then the closing bell and Mr. Lucky in the afternoon. Have a night, people. Cash some tickets, and we will see you soon.